The Hometown Heroes program is back, only $36 million dollars. And this is everything you need to know about this program to see if you or your clients qualify for this program. So, this is going to be a quick overview of the program. Obviously, if you have specific situations, please let me know and I'm happy to help. But let's check this out. Okay, so let me share my screen. Boom. All right, beautiful. So the new and improved Hometown Hero. This is the thing. It's not the same as the original Hometown Hero. It's the same as the second iteration of the program, meaning that it is not bound for specific employments. That means that you, even if you're not a police officer, a firefighter, a teacher, you can still qualify. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. You can still qualify for this program. That's why we put Clark Kent is now eligible, not just Superman. Okay. What else? It is a first time home buyer program. This is one thing that you need to keep in mind with this thing. The first time home buyer meaning, or what does it mean to be a first time home buyer for this program, is very specific. It means that you have not owned the house where you live in for the past 3 years. That means that if you had a house or if you have a house and that's an investment property, you're still considered a first time home buyer as long as you haven't owned the primary residence. You had a house that you live in for the past 3 years. So if you haven't owned the house that you live in the past 3 years, you can qualify for this program. The other thing is, let's see what's the same and what's new on the program. So the same thing is it's available in Florida and only Florida. The second thing is it works with FHA, VA, USDA, and conventional loans. This is important because we get a lot of questions about the specific qualifications as far as the loan, like down payments and things like that on that specific loan. Well, it's not like the Hometown Hero is one loan, is that it works in combination with FHAs, VAs, USDA, and conventional loans. What is the Hometown Hero? It's a repayable 5% down payment assistance with a 0% interest. Couple things there. It is repayable. It's 5% only, so it's not going to be more than 5%, and it has a 0% interest. One has a 0% interest. One has a 0% interest is that down payment portion, not the main loan. Now, last time we had $100 million. Now we only have $36 million available. Okay, the amount of the DPA, the maximum amount is going to be $35,000. So 5% up to $35,000, and we're going to give you an example now. And then the cool thing is that the minimum amount it's $10,000. This is cool because if you're buying a house that might be less than $200,000, you're still going to get your $10,000. So again, 5% down payment assistance with a minimum of 10,000 and a maximum of $35,000. So this is a cool example. If you're buying a house for $726,000, if you were to put a down payment, the loan amount itself would be $704,000. Okay. Now, with the Hometown Heroes help, which is $35,000, this is how the math would work. Normally, you would have to bring to the table on a $726,000 house a down payment of $21,780. But again, the Hometown Hero, because it's $35,000 at this point, because 5% of 720 or 700 is going to be above that 35,000 and it's capped at 35,000. Well, the Hometown Hero is going to be able to not only cover $21,780, which is my full down payment, but in addition to that, I'm going to have an excess of $13,220 to cover a big portion, if not all, of my closing costs. This is why this program it's so good, because you get 5% and really you only need 3% for the down payment. So that extra 2% can be used towards closing costs, which is awesome. Now, that's great, Ed. Amazing. I can get the Hometown Heroes help for $35,000 at a 0% rate. Well, I mean, when do I have to pay this, right? Like, what is the deal with this specific program? Okay, so you're going to repay it when you sell the property. So again, you're never going to make payments on this $35,000. It's a 0% down. It's a 0% interest, but When you sell the property, you're going to have to repay those $35,000 in this case. When you leave the house as a primary residence, meaning let's say that you want to turn that property into an investment property, okay, great. At that point, you have to pay the $35,000. When you transfer the deed, that's important because basically that's you selling the house, right? Even if you don't sell the house, but you want to transfer the deed to somebody else, you're technically moving that ownership of the house to somebody else. So it's considered, one of those scenarios where you have to repay the loan. And obviously, when you refinance, when you repay the full loan, you can also pay the $35,000. Guys, this is so important because this is what we consider basically, interest free money, like 0% down. They're giving you $35,000, where even after 30 years, you're only going to have to pay $35,000. Another question that we get a lot is, when can you refinance? You can refinance whenever it's a good time for you to refinance. As soon as those rates drop and it makes sense to refinance, we'll refinance both loans and you'll be perfect. Okay. Who qualifies? Big question. Well, primary residence only. This is super important. You cannot buy an investment property with a hometown hero loan. This is only for primary residences. So you mean that you must live in the property. It can't be, well, I just kind of like live there for a little bit. No, it has to be like where you go to sleep every single night. You have to occupy the property within 60 days. That's important. It's not one of those things like, well, this is going to become my primary residence in 6 months. It doesn't work. You have to move into that property in the next 60 days. It's only for first-time home buyers, but we already talked about what a first-time home buyer is as far as the program is concerned. You need to have a minimum of a 640 credit score. Okay. There is no occupation requirements, but you have to be full-time in the state of Florida. Now, this is where a lot of the confusion happened the last time around. Okay. Full-time is 35 hours a week. There's no exceptions around this. Okay. If your job considers it full-time at 30 hours and you only work 30 hours, that doesn't work. It has to be 35 hours a week. The other thing is, the person needs to work in the state of Florida. So if you have a business or if you work in a business that has a location in Florida, doesn't have to be headquarters, but a location in Florida, we're good. If you are 100% work from home, 100% remote, we need your business to have a location in Florida. And if you're self-employed, we need that business to be here in Florida, to be, to have license here in Florida, to operate here in Florida. That is super, super important. Now, it is still 2023 right now, so the loan limits haven't changed. So this is the limits that we have on Collier, Lee, and Charlotte. If you're in another county, please let me know. I'll send you the limits. But the income limit for this is going to be, like you see, 149 and change for Collier, 128 and change for Lee, 128 and change for Charlotte County. And these are going to be the loan limits. Now, remember, when we talk about loan limits, it's loan limits. We're not talking about purchase price. So, you can buy the FHA house for $700,000. As long as the loan amount doesn't exceed the 672, we're good to go with this program. All right. Some key factors. Reduced mortgage insurance available for borrowers below 80% area median's income. That means if you make less than 80%, you're going to have a lower mortgage insurance. The first-time home buyer requirement is waived for all veterans and active duty, as they should. The applicants can only own one non-primary property per loan. Again, we talked about this scenario, right? Where let's say I have a house in Georgia that I rent out, and I haven't lived there in the past 3 years. So technically, I'm considered a first-time home buyer for this loan. I can qualify for this. But if I have two investment properties, I do not qualify for it. If it's me and my wife, and she owns one and I own one, but we haven't lived there, we still don't qualify for it because we can only have one other house per loan. Super important. What's cool about this too is this opens the opportunity for occupying co-borrowers, the co-signers that we talk about. Let's say that I want to buy this house, but I need somebody to help me, my mom or my dad to help me. They can co-sign for me, and they'll be able to qualify, or I'll be able to qualify with their income as well. Okay, first time home buyer course is required. It's one of those things where you just have to take the course if you want to qualify for this. I don't necessarily recommend you waiting until you take the course to apply for these type of programs. This is something that you can do even after you're under contract, but you just need to have it by the time we close. Another thing is maximum debt to income. Debt to income ratio is going to be 50%. That's a little bit different than a normal FHA loan. So there's going to be a lot of cases where if you're a client and you come to us, you're going to qualify for a higher mortgage or for a more expensive house without the hometown hero than with the hometown hero, because the hometown hero says more than 50% debt to income ratio, we cannot do the loan even if FHA allows it. We already talked about this. Co-signers are allowed. Prepayment DPA is allowed, meaning if you want to start making payments towards those $35,000 that you owe, throughout the years, you can. Or if you want to pay it all off after a couple of years, you can. That's fine as well. All borrowers can only have one Florida home buyer loan, meaning if you already have a bond program or something like that, or if you already have one hometown hero, you can't go and get another hometown hero. That's not how it works. Okay, property eligibility. What's eligible? This is super easy. Single family homes and townhomes are eligible. 2 to 4 unit property are eligible. Condominiums are eligible, and manufactured homes. Now, manufactured homes needs to be newer than 1994. That's different than on a regular loan as well. Okay, what if the buyer doesn't qualify? Well, don't worry. If you don't qualify, we have other programs, okay? We have a Neo DPA program, which is a program that we provide here at Neo Home Loans. That's very similar. It's primary residence only, 3.5% to 5%. It's forgivable after 5 years with a 0% rate, or payable after 10 years with an 8.99% rate. FHA and USDA only. So that one doesn't work with conventional loans, but you need to have a credit of 620 to be able to qualify for. So you don't have that. You don't need to have that 640. Max ratios per AUS. So same thing. If you have somebody, or if you yourself don't, the hometown hero doesn't give you enough, we may be able to give you more with our Neo DPA, and it works also for almost everything. Not triplexes or fourplexes, but it does work for duplexes. But the coolest thing about this program, in my opinion, is it doesn't have any income limit. Again, this is not the hometown hero. This is our down payment assistance program in case you don't qualify for the hometown hero. Now, specifically for people in the medical industry, specifically for doctors, you don't qualify for the hometown hero, probably because you make over the maximum income. But we do have a doctor loan that's 100% financing up to $1 million, 90% financing up to $2 million. You can get a single family home, a condo, or a duplex. It's only for primary residence, but there's no mortgage insurance in these loans, which is cool. The maximum debt to income is 50%. You don't have to be self-employed for 2 years in order to qualify, and future income is allowed. Guys, look, the point of all of this is we have the ability to do this type of loans, whether it's a hometown hero program. If you're interested in that loan, please apply, because you might be able to qualify. And if you don't qualify for that one, that doesn't mean that there's not other down payment assistance programs available to you. If you have questions about this program or any other program, we don't charge anything for a simple, whether it is an application or simply having a conversation with us. So please reach out to us. We'll be able to help you.